All right, good morning, everybody. It is The Rob from 106.1 KISS FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting. Let's welcome to the show the Ramblin' One, Mr. Jerry Valeri from State College, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Jerry.
Beefed so hard in the studio. It is awful. It smells so bad right now.
I'm happy to hear that. That makes me, I know that smell. I've been locked in that small studio with you before.
Oh, it's a real beefer and teaser, too, because I did not eat or treat my body great this weekend at all.
Hey, hope you had a good weekend. Can I start off with a few announcements, if you don't mind?
Please, let's do some housekeeping. Go for it.
Sure. So here's what I got. First of all, I know the other computer isn't going to work this time, so I apologize for the audio quality. I do take pride, of course, in our audio setup, and wasn't able to make it happen today. The webcam isn't even set up on the studio computer, so we're just going to go old school. We're going to go Skype. There shouldn't be any sort of problems. Shouldn't be really any echoing. If you guys hear anything crazy, please let me know. I got my phone here. I'll be able to see you guys, so hopefully we sound as good as possible for the Google Hangout version of the show. That's the first thing. Second thing
if you guys ever hear an echo of any kind, let us know.
Yeah, I'd much rather know and try to get it worked out and figure out what the problem is than not deal with it at all. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, as promised, we do have tickets to WWE Raw. I know what we have them this time. I've got them on my desk. Steve's giving me the thumbs up. Thank you, Steve. And I believe that we will give those away during tomorrow's episode, Jared. Now, what I mean by that is I think we're going to have to utilize the Facebook in some way. So it won't be during the live stream. So if you don't watch it live, don't worry about it. But the episode for tomorrow, the one where we review tonight's Raw, we'll have some sort of giveaway for Raw tickets worked into that. You'll need to watch tomorrow's episode, and you'll need to comment on the Facebook post. And then
like a hidden password, like some kind of a code?
I don't know if it's going to be a code, or maybe just like we'll ask like, hey, who you think is going to win this match? Or, but something where there can only be a couple of answers. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So
something along those lines. And as long as you have a valid answer, we'll be good. Oh, you should have heard the show today, Jared. We do Ringside with the Rob, and the way this works is I've got ringside tickets to Raw somewhere near me, and I take two people on the phone. We interview both of them, and then I choose the person I want ringside with me. I asked the first dude today, who his favorite wrestler was, and he said, "Oh, I can't remember how he worded it." He was trying to say Roman Reigns, but he was saying like Reignin' Rome's or something like that. Yes, just no. Exactly.
You're not sitting with me.
But it was great because the dude who did win was so excited to go. So that was good.
How you feeling after the week?
That's what it was, something like that. So how was your weekend?
It was good. I accidentally got drunk during the Penguins game on Saturday.
Whoops.
Yesterday for a lot of it. But other than that, we're good. Nothing's better than having a little bit of a hangover and watching a WWE pay-per-view on a rainy day. So that was good.
Let me ask you, how much of the pay-per-view did you watch?
I watched all of it, except I had a unique problem. And this is going to speak volumes of what I thought of the pay-per-view. I fell asleep during it twice, and I actually backed up. I had to back up because I was like, whoa, I couldn't. I've never had this problem, Rob. I couldn't keep my attention.
Sure.
Like it just, certain things went too slowly, and I found myself very bored a lot during that pay-per-view. Well, I fell asleep a couple times, but I didn't fast forward anything. In a few cases, I had to back up because I woke up and like the Hardys are in a cage, and I was like, whoa, I missed this.
So, but you feel like you consumed everything?
I consumed everything. I feel like the first 70 minutes of that pay-per-view was brutal.
I want to talk about that because I thought the show did a lot well, and I think the show did some things wrong. Nervous to give my grade today. because of everything that happened the last pay-per-view review.
I'm very confident in my grade today.
Do you want to start with that?
We can. We
All right, let's
can
build
if
up.
you
So let's
want
build
to.
up to it this time. First of all, I want to say that I've never been happier to lose the Lock of Destiny today for a few reasons. The first one was it was so weaselly, the same exact way I won it the last time I won it. I forget.
Weaselly.
I think it was Payback. What's that?
Gambled away the tiebreaker. You gambled
No,
away the rights.
Just like you did a few, I don't know if it was a month or two ago or how long ago it was, but just like you did for the women's title match. I forget if it was Payback or Backlash, but you gambled it away too.
We disagreed on 3 matches. We both got the main event wrong, and we each got a match right. Like I said The Miz would win, and then you said Neville would win. And so normally the tiebreaker we usually go with would have given the Lock of Destiny to you,
right?
Because the Neville match came on second. It was the last one. So I won on a technicality.
So I want to say two things about this. The first thing is that I want to remind people that I'm over here directing the show that was plagued with crazy problems when we made these predictions. So that's the first thing. So I'm paying as much attention as I can. I'm in much better shape this time. Secondly, something's wrong with me because I'm realizing, and there's certain things where this falls into my head. Like, so for example, when people say March or May, for some reason, I always hear the opposite. I don't know why that is. It's just part of me. I'm realizing that Miz and Dean Ambrose are falling into that category for me because I was hearing this all night from the announcers last night where they're saying Miz did something or Ambrose did something, and I'm hearing the opposite. It's a weird flaw in my brain.
Yeah, I can't spell restaurant. I mean, like, there are little things that, like, as educated people, we should be able to do and handle, but I can't. There's no fixing it or explaining it.
I understand, and since I did think it was a bit weaselly the way I won with that women's championship a few weeks ago, I was glad that you won this week under equally weaselly circumstances, if not more.
2 in a row, baby. 2 in a row.
Hey, you are the Beef Show King, Jerry. I don't take that away from you.
The Money in the Bank will be mine, and then I'm going to go for 4 in a row with great balls of fire.
You are the king of the cruiserweights, Jer.
Thank you. Thank you. Get on my Neville level.
Dude.
My Neville level.
Dude, how weird is it? I think this is so wrong, and this is a big problem. I feel like like you just said, there's going to be four pay-per-views between A shows. 4. F that.
Too much. It's just too much. Probably 5, I'd assume, because SummerSlam's not till the end of August.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, I don't know what's after Great Balls of Fire. If they're smart, they'd let that. What's that?
I just like the name Great Balls of Fire.
Did you see the ad for it last night?
No. Yeah. No, I didn't. I don't think I did. I heard him talk about it a bunch.
No, there's an ad for it that it goes to like an old. It's like based in like the 50s diners, and people are like at a diner, and then that song "Great Balls of Fire" comes on the jukebox, and it's like one of those drive-in diners, and people are dipping their French fries in their milkshakes, and like the cars say all the wrestlers' names on it. It wasn't bad, I guess, but the pay-per-view has a terrible name. They did use the song.
So here it is. The elevator. Crap. Okay. So if you go from WrestleMania 33 between A shows, you have Payback happened, Backlash, Extreme Rules, Money in the Bank, Great Balls of Fire, Battleground. There's one more Raw pay-per-view on August 6th, and then SummerSlam on August 20th. So 7 shows, not including the NXT takeovers.
Okay, I mean, like, guys, that's a problem. That's a problem. And if you're having a problem with the amount of D pluses I'm giving out for these these pay-per-views. Look. That's part of it to me. That's
part
of it.
I now have bad reputations. I'll never be able to give a B or an A again, and you can't give a D without somebody giving us crap.
And I understand why I have this reputation. Like I've heard that everyone kind of using the example of me comparing every show to WrestleMania 17, and I understand why I have this reputation. And I do think that WrestleMania 17 is the high bar. But I want to make it very clear. I am not grading every pay-per-view against WrestleMania 17. I am grading every pay-per-view against every pay-per-view. That doesn't mean it needs to be as good as WrestleMania 17 for it to be an A. I'm just taking into account everything. Valeria said he only takes into account the last year or two when he's grading these things. I take into account everything. I've seen every pay-per-view. I know what their great pay-per-views look like. I know what their garbage pay-per-views look like. And guess what? These B shows since WrestleMania, they look like the garbage pay-per-views. I don't care if you want to go back to the In Your House days of 1995 and 1996, or if you want to talk about, the Cyber Tuesday days. Like, I know what garbage pay-per-views look like, and they're forcing them down our throats here lately.
Yeah. So if we look at this pay-per-view, and I look at the things that I think that were done right, I think that Austin Aries and Neville match, I thought that was a great match. But you said something to me last week that I carried with me this weekend. It resonated with me, and I carried it with me. I need more than just a good match. It's got to be the build as well. And unfortunately, while they've built that feud very well, live and I don't watch it, so I didn't have a lot invested, but it was a great match. So I really enjoyed that match. I thought the main event in greater detail, but I thought that was the match of the night. I thought it was awesome, and I thought it really delivered the Extreme Rules thing. It did. The Hardy Boys cage match was kind of fun, although there were things in it that annoyed me that I didn't like. And those were the good things. The bad things, cool. The Bayley Alexa Bliss match, I don't know why that was so short. And then the Dean Ambrose Miz match was so long. Like that, they gave them 35 minutes and they didn't need to. Like
you're hitting everything I want to talk about.
I want less Miz. But like that first hour of the pay-per-view was the Miz Dean Ambrose match, and then the mixed tag match, which should have been on the kickoff show.
Yeah. Okay, so you hit on a bunch of things I wanted to talk about. I didn't take any notes last night, but I had things in my head I want to talk about. The first thing I wanted to mention is my favorite match was not the main event last night. And
okay.
What's that?
I said, okay, I can see
and
that.
And honestly, Neville and Austin Aries were very, very close, but were also not my favorite match last night.
Okay.
I really, really loved Miz and Ambrose last night.
Okay.
Personally.
We were on different. For some reason, like
hey,
it was putting me to sleep.
It's cool, and I understand that. And there's sometimes I get into that spot as well, and I don't know what it was. In fact, I think the fact that it went on first kind of helped it. And I will admit it was long. But I loved Miz has been doing this every match with the Miz that I love. I always give the same review of, and this is a compliment because he's doing it match after match after match, at least on the big shows. He tells an old school story in an old school way, and he doesn't need these big spots, these blood spots, these crazy memorable spots to do it. I loved the storytelling of trying to get himself disqualified, and ultimately, like once we got into, I mean, there were some great shenanigans up before Maurice's involvement, and then when he tells Maurice
with the chair, like I did enjoy, I enjoyed a lot of it, and I liked how they used the no DQ as full time. I just thought it was like 10 minutes too long. It was like a Judd Apatow movie. It just needed to be edited a little bit.
Well, I feel that I was going to say that was my criticism of almost every match on the show. Every match that didn't involve a woman, I thought was ridiculously long last night. because the show was underbooked and it didn't have a good build to it. But let me go back to Miz and Ambrose for a second. So once Miz starts telling Maurice to slap him, and you kind of see where this is going. And then you get the ref bump that was unintentional, but still doesn't get deemed disqualified. And I'm still like holding on to hope, because I guess like I wanted Miz to win personally, but I had him in the Lock of Destiny, so I was happy with whatever would have happened last night. And then Miz still doesn't get disqualified, or I'm sorry, Ambrose still doesn't get. See, I'm doing it again. Ambrose still doesn't get disqualified, and then hits him with a clean show-stopping finale. And I loved that match in a Miz kind of way. And I'm realizing, while there's like a 2006 Rob that hates to admit it, Miz is becoming one of my favorite wrestlers on any brand. I think Miz is fantastic. I'm so glad he's the Intercontinental Champion. Loved the match from an old school standpoint. That was my favorite match of the night.
I agree with everything you said, other than the fact that favorite match. I don't know why. Like, I love Miz for all the reasons you said. I think Ambrose didn't do it for me last night, and it was just too long. But
I can tell you why.
I agree with.
And this is not going to be criticizing or condescending at all. You love big spots, and you love carnage, and you loved monsters. And for someone with that mentality, you're going to like things later in the show more.
Yeah, dude, I ripped my shirt off when Braun Strowman flips an ambulance. Like, I just...
Yeah, no. And like I said, that's not a criticism at all. That's what you like out of wrestling. And it's not... I mean, I thought the main event was great. It was long, but it was great. They hit a spot, too, where it's like everything after a certain point, I was dozing before it. And for me, it happened once they went to the outside. When Joe hits the... I'm not sure. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Do you know? It's the coquina clutch. Is the second to last letter an N?
Yeah, they call it the coquina clutch.
Yeah, the coquina clutch. So he's got the clutch on Balor, and then Roman spears both of them through the barrier, which is such a tired spot to me, but looked great because he speared two guys through it. That was pretty.
Yeah, it looked good.
And then right after that,
what about Seth Rollins doing the flipperooski?
Right. Well, right
through the table.
Right after that, he did. It wasn't a flipperooski, but it was a frog splasherooski through the table.
Loved it.
And that looked great. And that was like one after another. And then from there, it went back into the ring. You had Rollins and Reigns doing some one-on-one stuff. And I really feel like after they got outside, that match hit a real stride. And I'm sorry, the frog splash is on Bray Wyatt. I think I said Finn Balor, whatever the case may be. I don't know why I'm doing this femme hand thing. Sorry about that too. Either way,
I love to watch. Go ahead.
I was going to say, after they got outside and all that carnage started, they were on 5 cylinders, man. They were cruising for me.
And I loved that match. And I felt like the WWE, they were trolling us with the unbeatable, unstoppable Roman Reigns breaking out of finishers and Superman punching and blocking kicks. And I was like, holy cow, here we go. It's going to be a Roman Reigns show. But then everybody starts doing their own moves and everybody starts getting stuff. And Joe, you forget about Joe for a minute. And then when Finn Balor hits the coup de grace, I thought, whoa, this is it. And then just out of nowhere, the way it ended and who they gave it to, and I loved it. I thought that was a great match, a cool ending, and it sets up a pretty stellar fight between Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe. Don't you agree?
There are 3 things I wanted to comment on that you just mentioned. The first is, so since you've promised yourself that you're no longer rooting against Roman Reigns, at least when you're making your picks, he's been on.
I didn't say rooting. I said I won't pick against him.
Yeah, at least for your picks, you're not going to pick against him. He's lost 2 for 2 since that proclamation. Just saying, that's a good thing because it keeps us on our toes. I like that. Second thing is,
wherever he goes from here, he'll be winning.
Yes, I feel like that's probably a safe bet. But now he's kind of due. So there's that. There was Strowman last month, and then this month it was in the 5-way. So there was that. I don't like the S at the end of. I believe it should be called the coup de grace. My understanding is that S. Yeah, but everyone, like, I know you're saying because the announcers say Gross, but that S is silent.
I know, but when Michael Cole said it last night over and over again, I was like, well, I guess it's coup de grace. I don't want to call it that, but that's what it's called.
So you're noticing that too? That bothers me.
Coup de grace. You might as
Yeah,
well. You might as well call it the coup de grace. If we're not going to make anything silent, let's not make the P silent.
I mean, this conversation feels like deja vu. You know what I mean? So
I used to think that the word, because I'd only read it and I'd never heard it the longest time, that meeting someone was called a rendezvous.
That's how Michael Cole pronounces it. So I want to say that that's bothering me. And then my third point from what you were just saying, reviewing that main event, my third point was that, to be honest with you, and I never sat down and actually thought about this, but of all 5 of those guys, even though I locked in on Balor, I think the one that's going to lead to the most interesting Lesnar match, honestly, is Joe.
Yeah, and you're going to have 2 heels, kind of. Like, Lesnar's like he transcends face or heel. He's whatever. But
Yeah.
You're going to have two badasses going at it. And it's going to be stiff. I think a lot of people see this as a dream match.
Yeah, this was kind of the one, I didn't even think about it, but I think of all the possible endings, I've only was thinking about where I thought they were going. I didn't think about what I wanted to see. I want to see Joe and Brock more than anybody else.
I also liked, I'll make this note, I liked the decision because they hadn't established it. And there's no reason that just because it's a pay-per-view that Finn Balor needs to be the demon just on pay-per-views. I like that they save it. Go, well, it's a pay-per-view, so he's the demon. He came out as Finn Balor, not demon, because they hadn't addressed that in any way, shape, or form. And there was part of me that thought, like, is he going to come out as the demon?
Yeah.
And I was relieved.
So it's funny because I was having this conversation last night with Steve. He texted me. He was very disappointed that Finn Balor did not come out as the demon. And I told him actually the same thing you just said, almost word for word. Here's my thought on that. I feel like the demon entrance should be very special. Not just special, but very special. And I used the example. I'm like, if he wins and goes on to face Brock at Great Balls of Fire, cool, come out and do it then. That's a huge special match. For being 1/5 of the main event of a really crappy pay-per-view, don't waste it on that.
Don't waste it. It's, the demon is something that I think should be pulled out of you, something that should be unlocked. And if they're going to go into a program with him and Bray Wyatt, allow the demon to be a character incites that it's an emotion that Bray Wyatt evokes from you, and then we get the demon.
Yeah, that I agree with that. I don't, just because it's a pay-per-view to me is underthinking that personally. I get and I get where he's coming from, because do I want to see the demon? Yes, I want to see the demon. I always want to see the demon. It's a cooler entrance and he looks cooler. But deep inside, I know it's not the right choice. That's kind of what I mean by that,
Well, I was afraid they were going to blow it. I was afraid they were going to do it because if you remember when he first came to Raw.
Oh, yeah.
He had the SummerSlam, and instead of debuting the demon entrance at SummerSlam, they gave it to you 5 days earlier on Raw.
Yeah, that was a terrible choice. And that's what I didn't want to see happen again. I'm actually glad we literally haven't seen it since SummerSlam.
That's good.
So that's good. Also want to say it's worth mentioning, Neville and Austin Aries had a great match last night. So
I thought it was awesome, and I was going to give it match of the night, and then I just couldn't. By the end, I couldn't, but it was awesome.
So yeah, we have a different take. I would say personally, my ranking of the matches of the night, the 3 that count to me, I would say number 1 for me personally, Miz and Ambrose. Loved it for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Second, I would actually give Aries and Neville. They had a brutal submission match that had a clean finish that I really enjoyed. And I also love when they went outside too, how when Neville was in the Rings of Saturn and took it to the way he broke the rope was to go outside, but the hold was still kind of locked in out there, and he was submitting, but the ref wouldn't accept it because he was outside the ring. I love that. And then that finish with the red arrow right into the Rings of Saturn. Man, that was some top-notch stuff right there. I would give that my second.
I say they don't finish it. I hope they continue this, and I wouldn't mind seeing it culminate in an Iron Man match.
Yeah, I mean, they've got places to go from here, so I do love this feud. I agree with you. And then number 3 for me, again, very close. They're all pretty close, to be honest with you, but my number 3 was the main event, to be honest with you, and it sounds like that was your number 1.
Yeah, it was. It was because for me it went the main event, then Austin Aries and Neville, and then probably the tag match, the cage match.
That was a little
the Dean Ambrose and Miz one. Just I don't know. I should go back and watch it maybe when I'm not so tired. Like I just felt like, holy smokes, this is taking forever.
If it didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. That's totally fine. The tag match to me was a little bit of a letdown, and that it wasn't very exciting to me personally. I will be honest with you.
I just didn't know why Jeff Hardy had to get out of the cage twice.
Yeah.
Like, he had already gotten out, and then he went back in, but then he had to get out again, and I don't know.
I had to take like a 10-minute dump during that match, so I do feel a little disconnected from it. But nothing in it was wowing me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Cesaro and Sheamus won that, right? They won the titles.
They did, but it was like almost a split decision.
That was fine.
Like their feet touched half a second before so they won, but they barely won.
I don't know if you watched Cruz and Kalisto on the pre-show, but it was by far better than the mixed tag match that they included on the show. I almost wish that would have been included. I thought Kalisto and Cruz did a really good job, and Dar and Fox and Banks and I can't think of the guy's name. Who was Banks' partner? Swan.
Rich Swan.
Yeah, they kind of left me hanging a little bit. I would have switched those personally, and then also, a few things about the Bayley and Alexa Bliss match. It was
if I can go back just for a second, I did watch the pre-show.
Okay.
And I thought even in that role, Titus in that role was pretty good. Like I thought that was a very good match. David Otunga is terrible. He's the worst. I watched the pre-show, the kickoff show. He's so bad. Like he's a hot pile of garbage. He made the dude with the Simon and Garfunkel haircut that I can't stand sound better. Like I hate that whole panel.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're talking about Sam Roberts?
Yeah, that guy.
Nobody's worse than him. I think he's so outmatched in this position.
Well, not against Otunga. No way. He looked like Jim Ross.
I wouldn't go that far personally, but
Otunga last night.
Was Otunga wasn't doing commentary on the main show, was he?
Nope. They brought him back and they had him on the kickoff show. But
well,
they didn't
that's a good thing. Because if he's back, I wonder if that means they're going to keep him off of Raw.
I bet you we see him tonight on Raw. It's not like Booker T did anything last night that made me say we need to keep him.
Yeah, I never get that from Booker personally. The Alexa Bliss and Bayley match was what it was. They told their story and they got their feud over. I thought it wasn't a great match. I also, man, I gotta tell you, I don't like, because like Bayley was kind of going inside a little bit, talking about the lousy "This Is Your Life" sketch. And while I admit the segment came off that, I feel like Alexa's holding the bag for this, and I don't like that. I don't think Alexa screwed that up last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because Bayley even took a crack at it. Like that's something Alexa's gonna have to live with because she is gonna be holding the bag on that.
But she didn't do anything wrong. That's what bothers me. Like she didn't hire those actors. Like she did the best that she possibly could.
I know, but it was still terrible.
So there was that.
And she was out there, and it's not fair. I agree with you, but it is what it is, and that's okay. It's not like they took the belt off or anything. She's going to be champ for a while, and now she's going to end up having to deal with Nia Jax on the kickoff show. That was terrible too. I want to like
wait,
that.
Hold on. What did I must have missed whatever Nia Jax did.
She was on the kickoff show. She was just on the panel.
Oh, okay.
Talking about her relationship with Alexa and rooting for Alexa, but no matter who wins tonight, they're gonna have to deal with me and
Okay.
that kind of thing.
You want go ahead.
Really want to like this Elias guy. I don't know what they're doing there.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's the jury's still out for me.
They just put him in the ring, have him sing a bad song, and there's no confrontation or anything on a show where they could have done a little something with him. They could have given him a match. They could have had somebody come out and have him smack him around.
Yeah. A show that really needed something to fill the time up a little bit. They could have benefited from using him a little better.
Dude, when they're bringing out the main eventers at 10:04 Eastern time, you've got a lot of problems scheduling. Like, I was like, this match is either going to be egregiously long, or they're going to end it at 10:40.
Which I love. I love that I don't need these to go north of 3 hours. So I was happy about that. And I also was curious if you I watched the beginning of Raw Talk, and Miz went out and he killed it again with Renee Young, because Renee Young tweeted something crappy about Miz because, she's in love with Dean Ambrose. And Miz and Maurice were just checkmating her, everything she said, in that Daniel Bryan kind of way, where it's like she seemed like she's getting frustrated because everything Miz was saying was right. And I love that he's like Mick Foley used to say, at least I believe he said this in his first book, that like to be a good heel, you can't just be bad. You have to have a motivation for being bad. And you have to believe what you're doing is right. And Miz justified everything he did in that match and as his character, that he really did himself a favor, like he always does on the post show. So I'm glad I got a chance to stick around and see that. I thought the writing of the show was bad, while I liked that the show ended at like 10:45 10 o'clock our time. I thought that every match, with a few exceptions, every match felt way too long. I thought that when you had a solid match on the pre-show, maybe you could have beefed your real show up with that. You also had Elias Sampson, which Jerry mentioned. Probably could have done something with him to beef this show up a little bit. I think this show had one of the worst builds leading up to it. I will say there were three matches that I would.
No mention of Enzo and Cass,
Yeah, you're right. There were things that they really could have done to make this show better. And while there were three matches that I would call great, and I think that the wrestling between the ropes is the most important thing on a pay-per-view, I can't come above a C- on this one. I'm again teetering on a C-, D+. I can settle on C-. That's where I've got it. Now, listen, I know that I've become the cranky guy. I've become the grump. I don't compare every show to WrestleMania 17, or I do, but I compare it to every show. I compare it to crappy shows from that same year. I compare it to crappy shows from 1995. Like some of those In Your Houses were brutal too. I've seen every A pay-per-view, and I've seen every D- pay-per-view, and I've seen some F pay-per-views. So I feel like I'm very qualified to have whatever opinion I choose on these pay-per-views. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm just saying my opinion is just that. If I want to give a show a D+ right after I gave 3 shows a D+, I'm going to do that. I'm going to say something.
Well, that's my question. Are you being honest? Giving it a C-, if you weren't getting the bad rap for being a D+ guy, would you have given this a D+? Does your heart want to give this a D+? Because if it does, then do it.
I kind of do, to be honest with you. But my only thing is,
give it a D+.
But hold on, my thing is,
trust me. If I came out of last night and I thought that was an A pay-per-view, I know that I'm going to catch a bag of crap from you and everybody else for saying it's an A pay-per-view. I'm still going to give it an A. So if you want to give it a D+, I'm going to disagree with you, but I'm not going to be as far away as you think.
Okay, I'm going to stick with a C-, and I'll explain it like this. I thought that there were 3 great matches, And if nothing else, the SmackDown show before this didn't have 3 great matches. So I think I'm comfortable giving this one a C. What's that? All right, go ahead.
The SmackDown pay-per-view. But Backlash was great. It was good. Backlash was good.
Here we go. Okay, go.
Backlash was good. I don't know why you're wrong. You're wrong. But we're about that. We're talking about this. Me, I couldn't stay awake, dude. I couldn't. That's an automatic letter deduction if I can't keep my eyes open for your pay-per-view.
So
your favorite match of the night, I thought your favorite match of the night, I think went 15 minutes too long. It was a good match, though. That was a good match. Austin Aries and Neville was a great match. The main event was really awesome. I'm not going to say match of the year candidate or anything like that, but I loved it. It deserved to be what it was. Enjoyed the tag match in the cage. So I had 4 matches that I would say were good enough to be on the show. But good build to this pay-per-view to get me excited for it. Really paid off, other than the Samoa Joe's now going to take on Brock Lesnar. Too long. And the storytelling outside of the Miz and Dean Ambrose match was, was pretty basic, book by numbers type stuff. So I'm giving it a C. I'm giving it a C, right in the middle of C. And the only reason I'm giving it a C is because if I cared about cruiserweights at all, Neville and Austin Aries would for match of the year, at least in the cruiserweight division, match of the year. I thought that was such a great match, and the main event was great.
Let me pick on one thing you said, if you don't mind, because one thing I thought that the guys did really well last night in almost every match was the storytelling thing, and you just took their storytelling to task. You forgave the first match, Ambrose and Miz, so I won't talk about that one. I thought that was some of the best storytelling of the year. I think
it's great. I thought it was great storytelling, but can you agree that match was way too long?
Yes, I said that earlier. Every match felt long to me. So there was that. I thought that Bayley and Alexa, while you may not have appreciated the story, they told one. I liked that Bayley would not use the kendo stick. She wouldn't even touch it. They kind of stuck with the story of, I'm here to inspire, I'm not here to hurt. And so I thought that was good storytelling. I thought that
match was a dump. That was the worst match of the night.
Okay, but I'm talking about the storytelling. I'm just talking about the storytelling. So there's that. Garbage. I thought that Aries and Neville told a story personally with the submission moves and like the way they transitioned the submission move from inside the ring to outside the ring, and that was essentially the submission was no good. Came back and then finished him off with his own hole. I thought there was storytelling in there personally. And same with the main event. The way that match came together, I thought was decent storytelling. So I will say I think that you're being harsh on the storytelling aspect of this. And
well, then maybe I should give it a B.
I mean, give it whatever grade you decide.
Maybe the pay-per-view was a B.
It was an A+. I don't know what you want to give it. Yeah, you don't have to lock in on your grade.
No, I can see all of your points. Just for me, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it was just me last night. I couldn't do it. I've sat through, but I've been tired for pay-per-views before. This one couldn't keep me up. Giving it a C, and I could easily go lower.
You want to agree on a C-? We may have our first bang. We got an agreement.
Why don't we just settle on a C? C- sounds mean.
Well, I mean, it sounds accurate, but I'm looking forward to the post show today because Steve was all kinds of hating the show last night. So I'm curious as to what his letter grade is. I bet you he thinks we gave it too much credit. So I'm curious as to what he has to say about our letter grades. I also want to know what
the thing about the WWE right now. And there were times when it couldn't be said for it, and I think you'd be able to because I gave up on wrestling for a while, as we know, and you probably be more specific. But for any mistake that the writers make, that the booking makes, too many pay-per-views, the brand split, all of these mistakes have one thing that they keep falling back on, and they're lucky for, is that they have some of the best in-ring talent right now. Like the guys some of the guys that are working right now are more talented in the ring than before. Like they couldn't pull this off, this kind of terrible booking and writing in the 80s. Could you imagine having like the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan try to carry a match like Austin Aries and Neville did?
I mean,
submission match.
There are highs and lows for all of it. I mean, like if you want to go back to the 90s, you had guys like Brett, Shawn, Austin. I mean, you had some really great workers and then some lousy workers too. And you can do the same thing with the Attitude Era. You had Kurt Angles and you had Triple H's and you had Benoit's that were workhorses that could save things like that. And then today, while I think the bar keeps getting better, I agree. There are still examples of garbage wrestlers that, we don't care to see at all. We don't care for Roman Reigns specifically. I'm still not on the gender bandwagon yet. There are examples. There's always, yeah, you know what I mean. So, okay, do you want to agree on a C- or do you want to stick with your C?
I'll give you a C- today. I can agree with it because I was in the C- to C+. It's all C to me. So sure.
Okay. Yeah, I won't go higher than a C-, so then we can agree on that because I'm teetering on a D+, C-. So collectively, we're going to give this show a C-. So we want to know if you agree or you disagree. Tomorrow, we're going to have our Raw review as well as our Raw ticket giveaway. So stay tuned for that. You'll want to watch tomorrow's episode. And I think we did a really good job recapping the show. I'm actually really happy with today's episode.
I'm happy with it. I didn't fall asleep 3 times, so that's different than last night. So we're good.
Thank you. Dude, thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to talking about Raw tonight. You got the Penguins on too, don't you?
Yeah, I'll do the double TV move. I'll be good.
Okay, that works. And then we'll sign off, please. Like I said, I'll get this up on the website and the Facebook here shortly. I really want to know if you guys agree with our C- review of the show or not. So for myself, the Rob, my tag team partner, Ramblin' Jerry V, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you tomorrow. Right, Jerry?
C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.